Welcome back to Around the Clock. We are here with Matt Marshquest. Matt, welcome to Around the Clock.
Hi, thank you.
So Matt is the co-chair of our Sustainability Committee, and we've brought Matt in today to talk about the plastic bag ban. It's amazing how difficult that is to say. That's happening in July. Can you give us a little history about the ban and why it's gone into place?
Sure, and first of all, I'll say it's the plastic bag reduction bylaw,
Okay.
and some people don't like the term ban,
Okay.
but the goal is to reduce the plastic bag use. This started with a couple members of our committee who were passionate about pollution. One of them had done their undergraduate work on marine life and the impacts of plastic pollution. Another one had lived on the West Coast and studied the Great Pacific Gyre, which is this big patch of garbage which is floating out in the ocean.
Right.
And so I was actually not someone who was as aware of this issue until we started getting into it and doing the research. And the first thing our committee did was just to kind of understand the problem and try to understand what's happening. And we discovered there are a few issues with plastic bags that you get at stores. Basically, although they're very lightweight and pretty convenient, there's some problems where they're not recyclable, but a lot of people think they are, so they put them into their recycling bins. And when they get to the recycling plant, they get caught in the machinery. So it can tangle up the machinery, and then they have to stop the plant, basically shut everything down to take it out by hand with box cutters. And that can be expensive for these recycling facilities. So that's the first problem. And the other problem is that they are very lightweight, so they travel, they get stuck in trees.
Right.
We have one in our backyard that flew up into a very high tree.
And still there.
Yeah, it's the middle of a wetland, and it's still there. We'll have to, I'm just hoping it'll go away at some point.
Now that you mention that, I remember one being in one of our trees in our front yard, and it was probably a good year or two before finally just disintegrated and went away. So
yeah,
interesting.
And the interesting thing is when they do disintegrate, they photodegrade, they break down into smaller and smaller pieces. So you can't see them anymore, but they're still out there and they're impacting life in the forest, or especially in the ocean where it's a real problem. They get into the ocean and there are a lot of different animals that are impacted by them. Leatherback turtles, there was one study on those turtles which found, because they look kind of like jellyfish, the turtles will eat them, and 1 in 3 had plastic in its stomach in this one study that I read, and 1 in 9 had significant enough plastic that it would prevent the turtle from being able to eat. So it can be life-threatening.
So for the environment, it's certainly a good thing to be doing.
Right.
How is it going to impact the residents of Ashland, and when does that impact start? Yeah,
so the impact will start, basically the bylaw goes into effect on July 26.
Okay.
So at that point, stores should stop carrying plastic bags. You should see them switching over to paper bags or offering reusable bags. The preference is really on reusable bags.
Right.
Residents could start using them now. Many residents already do.
I know I go to Shaw's and I see people with their bags.
Yeah, and it's a great thing if you can do it, because it reduces the cost for you and it reduces the cost for businesses. Right. There's a slight investment with a reusable bag, but it quickly pays for itself.
Okay.
So
the ban is the bylaw to reduce is going into effect. I caught myself there.
Sure, thanks.
So there's been some questions. So we went around and we talked to some different people, and the question was, well, does that mean there's not going to be any more sandwich bags in Shaw's or Market Basket when I go grocery shopping? And what would be your response be to that?
Right. So I think there are some exemptions. So the bags that are the easiest for us to take care of it with this bylaw are the plastic checkout bags. So when you're buying groceries, when you're getting takeout food from a restaurant, it's put in a plastic bag and you take it home, and then the bag is kind of put in a pile or something until you can find a use for it. Those are the bags that we're really trying to address. There are exemptions for things like laundry bags and product bags. If you get Julie Z's breads downtown, they come in a little plastic bag. That's exempt. So those types of bags, produce bags, are exempt, and bags that contain like meat or fish or things like that.
And our own Ashland trash bags are exempt.
Right.
Because those are plastic, but they're a different kind of plastic.
Yes. Trash bags are exempt, bags you buy yourself for trash. It's more about bags that stores would give you.
Okay. Someone else had asked, well, does that mean if I have some bags left in my car from previous shopping that I'm not going to be able to have those in my car? Or if people have those bags because they use them for picking up their dog waste or their cat waste, how does that affect? How does the bylaw affect that if you have those bags already in your home and you're using them for other things?
Yeah, we did a lot of outreach before the town meeting. We went to the farmers market and we went to Ashland Day, and that was the biggest question we got was around like, I use these bags for everything. I think it's great because most of the people in town, they're reusing the bags. They're making them useful in lots of ways, which is what you want people to do. So they can still use those bags if they have them. So if one person at town meeting asked if he could bring his plastic bags to a store, would he get in trouble or would people look at him funny? I think that's totally fine.
Okay.
Reusable bags are probably more sanitary because they can be washed.
Right.
And the bylaw calls for bags that have sewn handles and are washable as the definition of reusable. So I think that there's an advantage to them, but people can keep using those bags, and they can still use other types of bags. Like you get sandwich bags. You can pick up dog waste with those.
Oh, that's true.
So there are some options. Okay. Yeah.
Good, good. Now you have a bag to show us?
Yeah,
from
so.
Which committee has sponsored this?
So this is a bag that our committee worked with an artist at the high school to create this bag.
Nice.
And full disclosure, my wife is the art teacher, Mrs. Marshquist, at the high school.
Yep.
And so her graphics arts class, she incorporated a lesson where they created a product design, and she was already doing that.
Okay.
But she put some of our requirements into it so that it could become kind of a contest for this logo design. So the student is Giovanna DePinho, and she designed this bag with a BYOBA, Bring Your Own Bag Ashland, type treatment, and this whale jumping into the earth, and we think it's a great message and a great design.
And you've had them at the farmers market already, and
Yes.
I think you're looking at another date to be there for people. And
Yeah, so we had them on Sustainability Day. We were giving out the logo, the bags, and people could come to our tent and get them. And we'll also be making them available at a lot of locations in town. We have a long list. So the Ashland Food Pantry, the couple churches in town. We'll also be giving them out at small businesses. So like if you go to a Quickie Mart or someplace like that, the Farmers Ram Market or something, they'll have some of these bags to give out to their frequent customers.
Good, good. So people can be looking for them.
Yep.
Any other pointers or tips that would be good for our viewers to have as they go into this bylaw coming into effect?
Absolutely. So I think people who have success with this definitely keep a lot of bags in their car. And I know if you're looking for bags, if cost is a problem, definitely check out the locations I mentioned and come to the farmers market. We give out free bags every week.
Right.
But having a few of these in your car is a great thing, and that way you never have to forget. Other people, I've just learned of a small business in town that's selling other types of like reusable produce bags. So they have these mesh bags that you can get, and also even reusable saran wrap that you can go over containers. And it's washable. So there's that business was at the farmers market last week. So if you go and look on the list for Sustainability Day, you can find yellowtwig.com was one of the businesses.
Great.
So I think there are a lot of options out there.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have you back in the in the 6 months or so to see how we think it's going, and you can give us an update. That'd be great.
Definitely. Yeah. And so, the one other thing I have to mention is that it's been really amazing to see some of the things that citizens and residents have been doing to promote the bag ban. So Toby Hoffman offered workshops where she was teaching people to sew bags from reused fabric at the senior center. And there were these 2 Girl Scouts which came to our meeting and asked how they could help. And they had these bags that they sewed. It was using farmer, seed bags and things like that. These heavy-duty bags, and they would sew them into a shopping bag style. And they offered a workshop at the farmers market and at their Girl Scout encampment.
And I think there was an event through our Friends of the Public Library. They did a sewing project.
Yeah.
And last week at Sustainable Day, there was someone offering the material to sew your own bag. So there's lots of different ways, and people are really supporting this, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's just been incredible to see that stuff. And from these young girls, they're in Minda school, so they're pretty young, and they're coming out with these great designs. And Mandy and Julia are their names. So
Nice.
I forget their pack number, but
Okay.
yeah, it's been inspiring. So I wanted to mention that because that's
Good,
probably the coolest thing out of this whole thing. It's just seeing how
Is
they're
the community
getting
involvement,
behind
people
it.
getting behind it, which is one of the things I always say about Ashland is when something like this, if it gets voted and approved, people embrace it and try to really work with it and support it in the best ways they can. So.
Yeah, it's great to see that because it'll really succeed or fail based on how the residents get behind it.
Yeah.
And I hope people, when they see this bag and when they go to shop and they bring their own bags, they feel kind of patriotic about it because we're a
Right.
green community,
Right.
and we support our businesses, and this is one way to do that.
Great. Well, Matt, before I let you go,
Okay.
there's a question I ask every first-time visitor to Around the Clock.
Great.
It's not that difficult.
Sure.
Is there something about you, Matt Marshquest, that not many people may know, but that you'd be willing to share with our viewers?
Let's see. So not many people would know that I grew up on a dairy farm in Vermont. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's where I grew up. So we had a farm,
How many cows?
bunch of cows. It was 45 milking, about 100 total.
Wow.
So it was actually a very small farm compared to the
Yeah,
farms
that's
today.
not that big, but
But it was a lot of work for our family. So,
yeah.
but that's kind of where I came from. So that's part of my interest in nature and the environment comes from having a lot of open space to play in. So
Nice, nice. Well, thank you for coming on Around the Clock. Thanks for bringing the bag and talking
Sure.
to us about the implementation of the bylaw, and we look forward to seeing how it goes. If you have any questions, how can they reach out to you if they have questions about the bylaw and when it goes into effect?
Sure, visit the town website and look for the Sustainability Committee page. We have some information on there for residents, FAQs, some resources for businesses that we put together, and you can always email us through that link
Okay.
as well.
Great.
So thanks for having me.
Oh, well, thanks for coming on. That's it for this segment of Around the Clock. Stay with us, and we'll be back with more.